All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel, or welcome for the first time. Now, if you clicked on this video, you saw the title or thumbnail, and you know that I'm about to explain to you why Conor McGregor actually won his fight at UFC 257, and that's not what this video is about, okay? I clickbaited you. But I clickbaited you for a good reason, because this video is going to be very insightful, super smart, and it is going to explain a lot about Conor McGregor relating to his performance, how he is winning, and how that's causing him to lose, okay? And if you've never seen my content before, then I encourage you, actually either way, just watch the video, okay? If you're upset about the clickbait, then tell me all about it after you watch the video. All my regular viewers are laughing that I clickbaited you, by the way, okay? My regular viewers, they ask me to clickbait them. So if you're new to the channel, I guess now you're in the club. Anyway, so if you like the content, subscribe, ring the bell so you'll know every time I upload vicious videos like this. But yeah, anybody who watches my channel consistently and knows I drop some very insightful stuff on here, especially relating to people. And I am about to drop some really top-notch insight on Conor McGregor. And that's not clickbait, okay? That's real. That's why I clickbaited you, so that I could share this with you so you could understand why Conor's losing, what's going on in his mind, and why he's transformed on the level that he has and how that's affecting his performance. Because listen, I watched every single breakdown video, post-fight video, every major channel. I watched them all, okay? And, you know, Luke Thomas actually made a really good point about Khabib that I'm going to also talk about in this video, and what's going on with him and what he's going to do and why he doesn't want to fight, unrelated to his mom. And I actually agree with him 100% on it. So there's going to be a Khabib aspect to this video as well. But first, I want to talk about Conor, okay? So here's the deal. When you look at Conor McGregor yesterday, right, or this entire week, he's a different person, obviously. I've talked about this in previous videos. This is nothing new. However, I had a revelation about it, thinking about it this morning, that is worth even doing an entire other video, because this is the thing, right? So look at the history of his career, right? He's on social welfare in Ireland, right? Oh, the UFC is going to call. The UFC is going to call. He's broke. He's hungry. He's got a dream. He's trying to fight for the dream, right? He wins the Cage Rage Championship. He wins the second Cage Rage belt. He gets a call from the UFC. We all know the story from there. He catapults to the top of the sport, talking his way all the way up, okay? Now, at the time that meteoric rise happened, think about where he was at, okay? He started out on social welfare, okay? So when he's going into each of these fights, the person that he's going to fight, he's a dog fighting for a bone. They're all fighting for the same bone, right? And he's a combatant. Like, he's not just trying to beat him in the octagon. He's trying to beat him outside the octagon. He's trying to become the biggest star in the sport. And he always understood it wasn't just about the fights. You have to win the fights, but you got to win everywhere else. That's why he dresses so nice. He's trying to beat him with how he dresses. That's why he's so good on the mic. He's trying to beat him on the mic. He's trying to mind fuck him. Like, he's trying to beat them everywhere, right? Because he's competing against them everywhere, right? He's a fighter, he's a combatant, and he's fighting them everywhere, right? Now, I don't care what you say about Conor, because I understand Conor, okay? I understand him because he and I share a lot of personality traits, okay? And what I can tell you for sure is that even in his worst form, right, which I would consider to be 2018, after the Floyd Mayweather fight, kind of lead up to Khabib, and then after the Khabib fight where he was clearly abusing alcohol, doing a lot of cocaine, and just behaving very, very poorly. Even in that phase, he's still a person who has empathy for other people. Like, he does care about other people, okay? Even if he's acting selfish and stupid and self-aggrandizing, okay, he is a person who is concerned about other people. And you can tell that because he has the exact same circle around him as he did when he was on social welfare. No turnover. All the same people. His girl, his coach, his family, okay? That's the sign of a person who has deep personal relationships with people, which is the sign of an empathetic person who cares about people. Now, I am capable of acting like a complete selfish moron. I can't even imagine the self-destructive behavior that I would have gone on if I became one of the most famous people on the face of the earth for being the toughest guy on earth. And I had, all of a sudden I was on social welfare, and a couple of years later I had $150 million in the bank. Like, I would have lost my mind. I mean, I would have literally lost my mind like he did. Okay. So he goes to the meteoric rise, and every time there's a buildup for a fight, he's tearing into these guys. He's trying to beat them everywhere, blah, 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 right? He gets to the Mayweather fight, right? Gets a $100 million payday, and he's throwing it in everybody's face, right? $100 million payday, what's up? It's the biggest payday any fighter's ever got. He's still fighting these guys, right? He's still fighting them post-Mayweather. Then he has the Khabib thing, right? And he either manufactures or there is a real beef there, okay? I certainly think that Conor intentionally manufactured it, you know, to pump the fight, but he creates a real beef because Khabib and people from Eastern Europe, especially his crew, don't play that, okay? So the beef is real. Conor is drinking, he's doing drugs, he's not training the way that he normally does, he's out of control, he thinks he thinks he can't do anything, like he owns the world, right? He's in the worst place he's been. He gets beat up by Khabib, right? Then he goes and punches an old man in the head. And that's rock bottom. That's where everybody just drops him. And he is, like I said, very sensitive to other people. And so he starts to see that he's getting like legit blowback where people are like, we're done with this guy, okay? You know, sexual assault charge, which for the record, I did a video on this, not true unless the woman just told the least believable story ever and that just happens to be true. So I'm going to just go ahead and say that his sexual assault charge is almost certainly not real. But people don't know that, right? They're reading the papers. He's going crazy. He's punching old men. He's got a sexual assault charge on him. He's got, like, you know, he smashed the bus. He smashed a guy's cell phone. And finally he punches the old man. The video comes out and people are like, enough. We're done with this fucking guy. And that shit hurt him, okay? I can tell you that for sure because, like I said, I understand Conor. And the reason why he was getting away with all that stuff is because he had the adoration and approval of the public, okay? He fed off of it. And then all of a sudden it turned on him. And that would shatter him because it would shatter me, okay? And so all of a sudden he has this realization like, oh my gosh, like I may have actually like thrown this all away. What am I doing? See the Ariel interview, right? Where he's stammering through and apologizing. You know, you've never seen him like that before. And he actually takes that moment and he turns his life around, right? He gets back in the gym, quits drinking, trains for the Cowboy fight, okay? He comes in for the Cowboy fight and he puts on a clinic. Now, he's really polite with Cowboy in that buildup also. You couldn't really tell what was going on with him in that buildup, right? He was like, man, he's being really nice to Cowboy. It's probably because he wants to clean up his PR, and maybe it's going to give him an edge with Cowboy, him being nice, right? But so it's the first time he's ever been nice in a buildup, and you're thinking like, he's probably trying to clean up his image, whatever, which is probably partially what was going on. Now, he had launched the whiskey brand, but guess what? When he did the Cowboy fight, the whiskey sales had gone through the ground, okay? Because if no one likes Conor McGregor anymore, no one's buying his stuff. The reason why he's doing so well is because people love him, and so they want to go buy whatever he puts his name on, okay? So like when he punches an old man in the head in a bar, people are not going to buy Proper 12, okay? So he needs to clean his image up. So he goes and he does the thing with Cowboy, and so any smart person is watching that like, okay, he's doing brilliant PR right here, and then he wins by 40-second knockout. The end, okay? Now you fast forward a year, okay? Now is where we're talking about UFC 257. Now from there, whether genuine or not, when he's doing the build up with Cowboy and he's being really nice, okay, things have changed since then, okay? Any kind of shakiness underneath Proper 12, gone, okay? Gone. The brand is worth $2 billion, okay? So Conor is more wealthy than Dana White. Right? He's like, I mean, he's not even Floyd. He's wealthier than Floyd Mayweather. Like he's the wealthiest fighter in the history of combat sports. I mean, he's like a genuinely wealthy dude. Like he couldn't spend his money if he wanted to, right? Like, you know how hard it would be to spend, like $1.5 billion? Even Conor be very challenging, even though he showed up on a, $50 million yacht or whatever, right? But here's the point that I'm making, okay? Conor's an empathetic person, right? I said that, and I meant it. It's not a show. He really is that person. Now, he's clearly also done a lot of work on himself, okay? So he's been training in the gym. Now, I talked about this in my previous video on the breakdown, right? He's in the gym. He's with all of his old coaches who used to coach him and tell him the things he needed to do. And at some point, they turned into Conor McGregor sycophants. Sycophants? Yeah. At least that's how I see it. I see them admiring him on a level, totally understandable. Admiring him, okay? So he's in this little bubble, he's training, they're telling him he's incredible, he's doing well, he's changing the way he fights, and no one's challenging him on it because everything he's ever does just turns out right. So he wants to turn, he wants to have like a boxing style. They're like, geez, I mean, everything he does turns out right, so why challenge him on it, right? Now he's gonna do a boxing style, okay? So there's that side of it. So bottom line is he's coming in soft because he doesn't have anybody around him that's going to really shape him into his best self because they all admire him, okay? But this is the bigger part, okay? The part about him being nice, because he's being incredibly nice. That clearly is the result of a lot of work that he's done on himself, okay? He stayed sober, therapy, obviously, life coach, etc. And here's the thing. So remember what he was like when he was coming up, where he's trying to take everything. He's trying to compete with these guys everywhere. He's going to dress the nicest, right? He's going to be the meanest on the mic. He's going to take that from him. He wants the biggest payday, right? Okay, all of those things assume that you have a worthy adversary, okay? If you're wired like me, or you're wired like Conor, okay? You're wired like a pit bull, okay? So like a pit bull will fight a Doberman, will fight a Rottweiler, but you could have a Chihuahua literally come up and bite its eye, and it'll just look at it. It won't fight a Chihuahua, okay? It won't do it. It'll just bat at it. It's like, that's true. I mean, I'm serious. At least every well kind of good-natured pit bull I've ever been around, including mine that I had for 14 years, okay, he'd fight a deer, get his ass kicked. He got his ass kicked by every wild animal that he ever fought because he fought huge fucking animals all the time, and he always lost. And he'd fight a big-ass dog if they pressed him, but there's literally nothing a small dog could do to get him to attack. He would never do it. They're not a worthy adversary, okay? And so when Conor comes back to the fight game, UFC 257, he's a fucking billionaire, okay? He's a billionaire. He's won, okay? He's not competing with these guys anymore. They're not on his level. There's nothing to compete with, right? To the point where he understands as an empathetic person that if he's a prick to these guys in the buildup, he's being a bad person. Like straight up, like that. It's like you can't both be the wealthiest fighter in the history, be more wealthy than Dana White, and then come in and just annihilate a guy that you're going to fight. Like on the microphone. To him, it would feel like being a pit bull and attacking a fucking Chihuahua. Okay. Now, obviously, herein lies the problem. Because he's correct about that when they're on the buildup, right? When they're on the buildup, I mean, that's, he bought $1 million watch before he went to the island. I already told you guys about that in the other video. That's a fucking power move, right? That's him letting everybody know, okay? Yeah, I just bought a $1.1 million watch. How many guys would you jerk off for $1.1 million? I just spent it on something I'm going to wear on my fucking wrist. So there's that, okay? So he's still competing against them by buying a $1.1 million watch and then showing up on a fucking $30 million yacht, right? And having your own clothing line and having, McGregor Fast and having, Proper 12, okay? You're beating them. Like you've beat them. Like they are not on your level at all, okay? You're showing them everywhere that you go that you're beating them. But guess what? Because you because you are beating them and you don't feel like they're competition in life the way that you were wired before to beat them everywhere, guess what? You're dancing when fucking Dustin Poirier is coming. Dustin Poirier is coming out and Conor's in the Octagon dancing because Dustin's not a worthy adversary anymore, right? You have $1 billion. Dustin Poirier is Dustin Poirier. So you can dance this thing and you can be super nice because he's not a worthy adversary. You've already beat him. But how does that translate when you have to fight him in the Octagon right after that, right? How's your $1 billion help you there? Does your $30 million yacht help you not get kicked in the shin and then fucking eat a shot directly to the chin? No. And as a matter of fact, the mindset that you almost can't help but be in if you're Conor, of looking at these guys like little puppy dogs because, you would be a fucking asshole to say it. That's the thing. He understands their life, right? Like you want to beat these guys when you have nothing, right? Like when you have nothing and you're all fighting for the same thing, right? Like not everybody can be the biggest star in the UFC, right? Only one person can. And so you're competing against these guys, right? And so, listen, like, if you're fighting for a dream, you'll fucking bury every other competitor to get that dream. Fucking bury them, right? Bury them. Because I'm doing this for me and my family. These guys are competing with me everywhere. I'll fucking bury you. Beat you, I'll humiliate you in public. I'll make you question everything about yourself. I'll knock you the fuck out in the octagon. And I'll feel good about myself afterwards. That's the game I'm playing. What the fuck are you doing? Right? That's the Conor McGregor that came into the UFC. Anything goes, bury you. Okay? Well, now Conor has won. He's looking at guys like Dustin Poirier, and he understands exactly what he feels like. He literally understands exactly what Dustin Poirier feels like. And he's a good, and Conor's a good guy. And so he wants it for him, right? Like, they're not competing anymore. There's not one dream that they're competing for. Like, and so subconsciously, Conor, I'm telling you, like, he's being so nice because he's already got the bone. He's already got the dream. And so being a prick is just stepping on someone who he's empathetic towards because he understands the dream that they're chasing. He's like, look, the way he's thinking about it is like, if I have to beat, I have to beat him in the octagon because we're competing. But the killer instinct that he had was when he wanted to beat him everywhere, bury him, take everything from him. And then he goes in the octagon and he fucking dirt naps everybody. Okay? This new Conor that wants to be nice and share fucking hot sauce, potentially give him a distribution deal, etc. That's not the same person. Okay? Now, I said that in the build-up, like saying like, oh, he was really lost when he was, in the build-up to Khabib. He's really lost. But now look at him. He's got it together. That's what I meant. Now, he is a different person, just like I said. However, this new person has a major fucking problem if he ever wants to be a top of the division UFC champion ever again. Because, in my opinion, Conor requires the energy that he had before, which was, we're all fighting for the same bone. Now, I don't think it has to do with the training. I actually don't think it has to do with, it's hard to train in silk pajamas. I don't buy into that. I think it's exactly what I'm saying right here. I think it's that Conor, deep down, he doesn't want to beat them anymore. I really believe that. I think really, when I really thought about it today and did what I do, and this is the reason that you guys, if you've gotten this far in this video, I would assume you've forgiven me for the clickbait and gone, God damn, this fucking guy understands people. And if you don't see that, then you don't understand people, because you should be able to listen to this and go, oh, fuck, he's right. Okay? The bottom line is this. Conor McGregor wants to compete. I don't believe that he can compete in the mindset that he's in. Okay? It's not the fucking satin pajamas and training. He can train all day. Okay? But he doesn't have the desire to bury these guys like he did before. And he's not going to get that back. He's not going to get it back because he understands their journey, and he's a good dude. I know fucking Khabib fans hate him and think he's whatever, but he's actually a good person, okay? Or at the very least, he's a good person with impulse control problems that he has under control now. But listen, if you hate Conor because he has bad impulse control and you think that, oh, I really love your channel, Jesse. Okay, listen, I have fucking awful impulse control problems. I mean, fucking awful. Now, I would never say anything negative about anybody's culture. Conor took it too far for sure, but I mean, he's a good dude. And that's why he's never going to get that killer instinct back. He's not. He's going to want these guys to win. That's why, as I'm saying this, the correct fight for him needs to be someone he does not like. Like, it needs to be someone who has fucking wronged him, that's not going to play nice, like Justin Gaethje. And I know people are like, oh no, don't do Justin Gaethje. He's got fucking vicious low kicks. And after the fight yesterday, now that we know he's vulnerable to low kicks, Justin Gaethje should be the last guy that you want to match him up with. Maybe. But Justin Gaethje said he's a shit father. Publicly. Okay? I don't give a fuck how peaceful and calm Conor is. Like, that's not going to wash off. It's not. I mean, I don't think, unless, I mean, if that washes off, then the old Conor is non-existent anymore. Because I read a tweet that Conor said he was going to put Justin Gaethje's teeth on a necklace. It's one of my favorite tweets from him ever. So I think if we really want to see what Conor has, we need to get him in there with someone that he hates, or that he has a legit bone to pick with, and let's see what the fuck he's got. Let's see if he's still capable of burying a guy if he wants to. All right, so that's the first portion of this video, which I can already tell is going to be a fire video. But also, here's another thing I wanted to bring up, okay? So people want to, oh, who should Conor fight next, right? We were just talking about that. I have the correct answer, right? I do. You guys think, oh, let's see. Guess what I'm going to say. Tony Ferguson. Nope. Justin Gaethje. Nope. I did just say Justin Gaethje, but nope. Islam Makhachev. That's the correct fight for Conor, because there's a legit narrative around it. I mean, that's the fucking fight. That's the fight. That's the fight. Because there's a reason to give Conor an opponent that's not in the top 5. There's a storyline around it. Conor can say he's trying to bait Khabib into, back into a rematch, especially after Khabib, I don't know, tweeted that thing to Conor. I actually didn't understand that. I'll talk about that in a second. But Islam Makhachev should be Conor's next fight. I mean, maybe, I guess Tony Ferguson, but that's boring, Let's have Conor fight fucking Islam Makhachev. Khabib and Conor will be the most interesting rivalry in the UFC. I mean, and if Khabib's gone, this is the best you're gonna get. You still got Conor, and Islam Makhachev is Khabib, and Islam Makhachev is one of the main reasons that Khabib's not gonna come back, I believe, and I'll talk about that in a second. So yeah, that's who we should fight. All right, now Khabib. So first, let me talk about that tweet. So the tweet that I don't have it pulled up, but basically what he said was, after Conor lost, he said, "This is what you get when you leave your when you leave all the sparring partners that made you a champion, and you train in a distant land, a distant bubble unrelated to reality," or something like that. And I thought that was so bizarre, because everybody knows that Conor has the exact same team as he always has. Like, I mean, that I know. I mean, he might have added some people, but all the same people that have been there all through Notorious, through the documentary, are all the same people that are still there. So that was kind of weird. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea what Khabib was talking about. That's basically the end of that. But Conor, when they asked Conor about it, he was like, well, okay, so does he want to come back and fight about it or what? So here's the other thing. Okay, so the thing that Luke Thomas said about Khabib that I was like, that is incredibly insightful and almost certainly correct. What he said was, he thinks that what's driving Khabib to retire, and the reason that he won't come back, is because he has all of these young fighters that are getting developed, and Khabib feels responsible to roll into his father's role. Like, his father was the coach, the collective coach of all of these people. And his father died. And so Khabib feels like that it's his, the path that he was always on with his father was, whenever his father was gone, he was going to roll in and take over there, right? His father is gone unexpectedly, and so Khabib is sliding into that role. And when Luke Thomas said that, I was like, God damn, that makes sense to me. That makes perfect sense to me. Like, the thing about his mom, I'm sure that she may have said, I'm sure she did say that. I mean, he wouldn't make it up. But I couldn't wrap my brain around, like, that Khabib really, like, wouldn't come back to fight. And then when Luke Thomas said that, I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. That makes perfect sense. Like, understanding him, that makes perfect sense. That he now feels responsible to fill the role that his dad had. He would have fought Conor. I mean, he would have. If Conor would have dirt napped Dustin like Michael Chandler dirt napped Hooker, he would have fought him. But now I don't think he's going to fight Chandler. I think he's just going to retire. But Islam Makhachev and Conor, that's the fight. So anyway, if you made it this far, I assume you've forgiven me for the clickbait, because if you're going to show me, as a matter of fact, I would love for someone to show me a video this insightful about Conor's state of mind and why wealthy Conor is a vastly inferior fighter to rich or poor Conor. Anyway, if you like the content, subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your friends. Peace.